Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's the day I'm going to show you what I have up my sleeve to upgrade the rear differential in this 800EX. Now before you go anywhere, because you don't own an 800EX, I want you to know that this process will be very much so identical to other machines, and that doesn't even stop at CFMOTO. You could have the UForce 1000, the 950, the ZForce 500, even the four-wheelers. This process is going to be pretty similar and very much the same because they have the same Q860 rear diff. Now the four-wheelers, they got like the Q850s or something, but it's real similar to this, and this will actually help learn you something. And what we have planned today is I ordered a Q860 differential, a 2021 model, and I believe I got the latest model out because it has a deflector screw, which we'll talk about that whenever I get this one out and we compare them side to side. And it's the rear differential that they chose to put in the 950, the 1000, and I don't know if the ones with the deflector screw are actually in the 800s yet or not, or any of the other models, but it's the same rear diff. They just changed a few parts, and it should be an upgraded diff. From what I'm reading and understanding, CFMOTO took care of some of the issues that they were having with this rear differential. So I bought a new one instead of rebuilding this one. We will rebuild this one, but I'm gonna wait until I can get parts diagrams and numbers for the diff that I have now, because I'm going to change and update it to that model. But we also have something else up our sleeve for that for a later video. We're going to bulletproof it even more. So without further ado, I wanted to show you guys that you could do this on a budget. You could do this without sending it to a dealer and paying an arm and a leg. Now I will say, when I first had this rear diff rebuilt, it only cost me $160 in labor, so that's not that bad, but they're going to mark up the diff quite substantially to help make up for that. And sometimes you can get a diff at a better price, but a dealer won't put on a part that you brought them. Most dealers won't. Some will because they're a good dealer, and others they won't because they didn't make that moolah. Now I want to shout out to Main Street Cycle in this one because they really hooked me up with this rear differential. They helped me out tremendously, and they've actually been helping me out tremendously for the last 3 or 4 months. And I cannot thank them enough for doing what they do for me here at Redneck Garage. Without them, some of the videos that I do wouldn't even be possible. And that's why I'm going to take the time today. This is probably going to be a longer video, but I'm going to take the time today and do a long, detailed video. And I want you to know that you can do this with minimal tools. And I went one step further to show you the minimalness. That jack right there is out of my truck. These jack stands here are from Walmart for $26. I will have jack stands linked below. And I know these are only 3-ton, but if you're just using them for your ATVs, side-by-sides, lawnmower, whatever, these would be more than sufficient, more than sufficient. So without further ado, let's get this thing out so we can compare them and get the new one in. So we went through this many times, guys. You're gonna need a 17mm socket for this to get this tire off. Now that we got the tire off, one thing we're gonna wanna do, which I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, and I'm gonna try not to remove the axle nut. I'm gonna try and just take off the control arms. So for the upper bolt, you're gonna need a 13 and a 15-inch wrench, 13-inch socket, and that is why you put anti-seize on your nuts and bolts. For your bottom bolt, you're going to want a 15. And the same wrench you just used for up top. And that is why you anti-seize your bolts. Don't worry. You'll have it all over you by the time it's all said and done. Now, getting your axles out are going to be the hardest part about the whole job. What I recommend is a pry bar. Getting in there with a pry bar, tapping it with a hammer. Just like so. And then you can leave it all hang right there, just like that. Now, I'm going to do that exact same thing over here, and we'll be right back. Okay, now next step, what we're going to do, it's not a necessity, but I'm going to do it so it opens everything up for me. We're going to remove this whole panel, which is super easy. And that bulb just comes out of there. Now, it opens everything up to the rear diff for you. We're going to pop off our diff vent breather, just like so. One thing we're going to do next is I'm going to remove the sway bar, but it is not going to go back on. Now that it's off, you just take it. Okay, now we're going to want to take off our bottom bolt here with a 15mm wrench. And you're going to want a 16 to hold it. None of the neighbors mow around here unless I'm doing something. And we have to do the same thing on the other side of this diff. It's the same way. Okay. Next up, you're going to want to pull these, hopefully you can see that. Pull these hex bolts. There's 4 of them. One here, one here, one here, one back there. I don't have the hex sockets here. I forgot them at work. But I'm going to use a T50 because it'll work. So keep that in mind. You can use a T50. It will work just fine. It won't hurt a thing. We're going to get those pulled. And we'll be right back. Okay. When you're pulling these, they come with spacers. You're going to... I don't know if they're different sizes, but put them back in the same spot they come from. Okay, so CFMOTO wants you to remove the upper control arms to get to these 2 bolts. I'm going to show you a way around that. You're going to want to get a wrench that fits on your hex, and you're going to want to tap it out of the socket with the punch. And then we're going to go right up in here. We're going to sneak up in here. Now, I'm only doing it this way to show you guys how to do it if your bolts are seized and you don't want to mess with it right now. Mine will come right out because I just did them. Those are going to be tight, so they may require some help. But you'll get it. Just like so, guys, just like so. This will actually save you some time. We got it out. Now we got to get the diff out. All right, guys. So, what I wanted to show you is, on the new diff, they have a deflector, a ring and pinion deflector adjustment. This will help when the diff is under load and the ring gear moves. That'll help keep it from moving. Also, this one don't have that. We have to transfer these over to the new diff, of course. So we'll do that. We'll do that off camera. That's easy to do. But yeah. So this is the new style diff that they changed over to. This is the old style. They look the same because they are the same case. They got the same internals, on the exception of CFMOTO updated a few things which I've talked about in another video. So without further ado, I'm going to get this back in. I'm going to do a time lapse on it. So, all right. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering why I didn't show you how to take out the drive shaft. There's a good explanation for that. And the reason is I took it out in Kentucky so I could drive the machine onto the trailer. But what I want to tell you is this spring side, it goes towards the differential. And they're again hex bolts, and they are a pain to kind of get to. Just take your time. They're not bad. You can get your hands in there. It's just one slow turn at a time. So we're going to get this in. I'm going to fill it up the diff, and we'll be right back. And if you want to know what to use and how to fill up the diff, I'll have a video linked at the end of this to show you how to do that. But it basically goes back together the same way it come apart. Super easy. I didn't want to take up all the video time doing that because it's real easy to go back together. So, and I couldn't get the camera in there anyway without a camera person. But this is real simple. It slides down in, you put your bolts in. Don't tighten them all up until they're all in. That is the key to this. So, without further ado, I'm going to get this in. We got it filled up. Now, me and the wife is gonna go take it for a ride and break it in. So, let's do that. We might go sneak up on Nick, see what he's doing. I'm gonna sneak up on Nick's garage. Let's see. see what he'd look at Mr. Fancy Pants with his painted floor.
Shit, I have to see water still coming in here. Watch it. It's coming in underneath the door lip.
Oh yeah.
I have to get something to go down right here.
Mr. Fancy Pants in here with his fucking painted floor. Alright guys, we're gonna leave Nick's house and go home. She's running good. I have to say the new diff, the gears are a lot quieter than the old ones. Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna drive it to work. Drive it to work, guys. Oh, them Elkas are so soft. Them Elkas, you gotta get yourself a set of Elkas. Definitely do. Come on, man. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.